Am I taking crazy pills, Broncos country? I'm going to need some help. A prominent NFL analyst, ESPN analyst, came out today, and he didn't just sleep on the Denver Broncos. He threw us under the bus and then put the bus in reverse and backed up over our lifeless orange and blue corpse. We're going to break down what Mike Clay said about the Denver Broncos and our chances this year. I'm going to tell you why I think he's wrong, and then I need y'all to tell me like if I'm right or he was right. Because if he's right, I should probably start guarding my heart because it's going to be a long, long season. So let's dive in here. Before we do, if you're new to this channel, my name is Ben. I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan, and it helps me out a ton. If you like the Broncos as well, if you would like and subscribe. So we looked yesterday. Mike Clay came out and he did a really in-depth breakdown of every team in each position group. And then he went further and released the entire guide, which we'll throw up here in a second. But the thing I want to focus on first is his week-by-week projection of each team's percent chance of winning for each of the teams on their schedule. We don't know exactly what week we'll face each of these teams, but we know all of our home games and away games and our opponent. We just don't know, like, are we starting the season with, I think the odds-on favorite are we start with Russell Wilson coming to Denver. That would be my guess. Is that the Sergio Dip second ESPN game where it's Rex Ryan and Sergio Dip and a bunch of people calling that second NFL Monday Night Football game? That could be cool. But let's look at this. So he does not give the Denver Broncos a over 49% chance of winning a single game this entire season. And I just think that is bonkers. We've gone over that we lost some talent, but even the biggest talent that we lost this offseason was Justin Simmons, who's still not in a team, and the replacement for Justin Simmons was higher ranked than Justin Simmons in all of the different Pro Football Focus, the Football Outsiders, all of those ranked Brandon Jones above him. Then we went out and got more talent at the defensive tackle position. I just think that we're better than this. So looking at this, let's look at first we'll just go in order here. We swept the Chargers last year, and neither of the games were close whatsoever. We know the Chargers are one of the worst fan bases in football. They weren't when they're in San Diego, but now sharing a stadium with the Rams. A lot of you were at that Chargers game. Shout out, Jeff. I know you were there. A lot of you were there. That the away games for the Chargers are really home games. And then the Chargers, all the talent that they had is gone. They lost Mike Williams. They lost Justin Herbert's favorite target in Keenan Allen. Obviously, they lost Austin Eckler, and then Khalil Mack's older, Bosa's older. I just don't think that they are the talented squad that they're saying. And we beat them twice last year. One of the times we beat them with Stidham, and it wasn't even close. So starting off there, a 39% chance that the Denver Broncos beat the Chargers at home. I think that's bogus. I think we have a 60% chance of beating them at least. Then an away game with the Vegas Raiders, their best player being a almost 32-year-old receiver in Javonte Adams. Gardner Minshew doesn't scare anybody. And again, beating the Raiders, only a 39% chance. I think that's crazy. The Colts playing at home against the Colts. You got their quarterback coming back off of injury. That new quarterback they just got from Florida, I think will match up really well there. Kansas City on the road, that's fine. I think that's probably going to be a very tough game, and it depends where that falls. If that game's after one of our bye weeks, I like that. If that game's in October with Sean Payton's record, I like that. If the Kansas City Chiefs look past us, I think we have more than a 9% chance, but fine, that could be a loss. Now, going to Seattle, only a 26% chance. Again, I think that one is crazy. Pete Carroll's gone, so they're doing a total culture rebuild there. And the last time we played in Seattle was Russell Wilson's worst year as a Bronco. Like that year we were 5 wins. We played horrible. And if it wasn't for the fact that we kicked like that 65-yard field goal at the end, we would have beat them with a horrible Russell Wilson, with a horrible Nathaniel Hackett. So sure, we might lose that game on the road to Seattle. That's a hard place to play, but 26% chance. I think we're a lot more even than people think. This one here I think is totally crazy that he gives us a 33% chance to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers at home. I'm just going to tell you, Sean Payton will not lose to Russell Wilson. And if Sean Payton loses at home to Russell Wilson after shipping him off and Russell Wilson looks good, and if we only win 4 games this season, Sean Payton's out of here. He cannot survive shipping Russell Wilson off and then losing to him. He lost to Nathaniel Hackett at home after he dogged him. If he does that again, I don't think that'll be good. So I think Sean Payton, more than anyone in the NFL now, knows Russell Wilson's weaknesses, and he'll exploit it. So I don't see us losing at home. New Orleans on the road, Sean Payton going back to where he cut his teeth in the league. I think he's going to be up for that game, and a 26% chance of winning. I think that's rough as well. Tampa Bay on the road, I agree. That could be a hard game. That's a hard place to play. Baker's hitting a stride. They re-signed Mike Evans. That defense is good. I can see that. Home against the Cleveland Browns, I think everyone's talking about how the Russell Wilson trade was the worst trade in NFL history. I think very soon we'll see that everyone's saying the Deshaun Watson trade for the Cleveland Browns was even worse because they can't get off of that. Jerry Jeudy is going to be coming back to town. We beat Cleveland last year at home with Russell Wilson not running the system Sean Payton wanted. So if he has a quarterback running what he wants, I think we have a better chance there. Baltimore on the road, totally agree. I actually got to go to a game in Baltimore. Actually, the game Peyton Manning beat the Ravens in Baltimore, and then in the playoffs we lost to them, which was heartbreaking. But that's a really, really hard place to play. So I agree with that one. That's a loss. I think playing next game here, Cleveland on the road, that's going to be a really tough place to play. Burrow's a beast. Totally agree with that. Raiders at home, we talked about the Raiders. I think we beat the Raiders. We at least split with the Raiders. I think we'll definitely win our home game, and I think a lot is depending on how Gardner Minshew fits, how that new coach actually works out. The Carolina Panthers, to give us a 49% chance of winning, 51% chance of losing, that's crazy, man. Like, we haven't gotten that much worse. We're just going to know more of Sean Payton's system, and Carolina is the worst team in football last year, and I think we beat them. Chargers, again, on the road, that's not an actual road game. We have more fans in the stands than they do, so I think we win there. Atlanta at home, very interesting to see how Kirk Cousins comes back as an aging quarterback coming off an Achilles, but I don't think Atlanta was that scary, and Sean Payton has familiarity playing there and knows that division. This one here was crazy bizarre as well, that we only have a 13% chance of winning on the road to the New York Jets with a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers, who might not even be playing because he might be on the ballot in November running with RFK. But I just think Nathaniel Hackett revenge, we're going to get it, and I think that needs to be a lot closer to a 50-50 game than a 13% winning chance game. And then at home against the Chiefs, we broke our streak last year. We beat him at home. Patrick Mahomes threw 1 touchdown in 2 games against our defense last year. We now have Jim Leonard coaching our defensive backs, and a lot of people wanted him as a defensive coordinator. I think we're going to be better than people think, and I think all of these are really sleeping on us at best. And even worse than that, I think this is downright disrespectful. He has us only winning 4.8 games. We haven't had a 4-win season since the year we drafted Von Miller, like since before our 2 Super Bowl appearances with Peyton Manning. And I just think we're a better team than that. But please tell me if I'm wrong. The other thing is, like, our strength of schedule. We have one of the easier schedules in the league this year with how our home and away games split. And I just think this is disrespectful and way, way off base. Other thing is, looking here, you got to check it out. I'll link it in the show notes here, but he goes and gives a really in-depth breakdown of each team. And the other part that was just crazy to me was seeing some of his projections for different stats for position groups. He has Javonte Williams only rushing for 694 yards. I think that's crazy. Our offensive line is one of the best offensive lines in football, and he said that in his rankings. And Javonte Williams was coming off a catastrophic knee injury. He's going to be better. Teams are not going to be able to load the box because we don't have Russell Wilson as quarterback anymore. And so I think I would be surprised if I think we're returning to our tradition of having 1,000-yard rushers. And if you look at this entire running back room, he only has our entire running back room running for 1,450 yards. I just think we're going to be a lot better than that. I hope I'm not wrong on that. But if I am wrong, man, I truly need to guard my heart, because I would be incredibly disappointed with a 4 or 5 win season, just because I think we've been able to do a rebuild without losing crazy amounts of talent going into next season. If this time next year, if we could get 8 or 9 wins, even if we don't make the playoffs, Do you know how good it would feel going into next offseason where we'll have one of the biggest bags of cash in the NFL? We're rumored to have over $100 million in cap space going into next season. So if we can do that as an 8 or 9 win team and then bring in some free agents that can run Sean Payton's system, that's going to be incredibly, incredibly exciting. Last thing I wanted to go over here is I think the Broncos also dodged a major, major bullet in that Jerry Jeudy just got a mega deal, a $41 million fully guaranteed contract, up to $58 million to play with the Cleveland Browns. I think that's a huge, huge reach for them. Jerry Jeudy is an incredible route runner. I'll give him that. But he didn't have a single 1,000-yard receiving season his entire time in Denver. And last year, he didn't score a touchdown until like those last games of the year. And he was out there all the time and, dancing on Thursday Night Football and talking smack to Steve Smith, but he just wasn't a difference maker. He was not the kind of person you want to give $58 million to. So I think while we didn't get the draft return that we wanted in a trade, there's no way we would feel good right now giving Jerry Jeudy this deal. Maybe next year he balls out of control and being opposite Amari Cooper, he proves some people wrong, but this seems like a huge, huge reach for me. Last thing I wanted to go over quickly is one of the things that has me high on this Broncos future is the fact that our biggest rivals is the Kansas City Chiefs, and they have so much money dedicated to 4 people right now that is just not sustainable. That they have one of the top paid quarterbacks in the league. They have the top paid defensive player in Chris Jones, obviously, and then they also franchise tag Snead, which means that there's a lot of people saying that they're trying to move on from him, and there are people out there offering only a 3rd or 4th round draft pick for him. So that would be great news for the Broncos if they lost their top corner and they didn't get a ton of draft capital in return for that. So all of that to say, let me know what you think about the breakdown I gave you. Am I totally in left field and just drinking the Kool-Aid and having too much hope that's going to come back and crush my spirits next year, or am I on the right track here? Broncos Country, thanks for everything, and let's giddy up. Man, it's this tight dress shirt. All right.